What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Missflips. In today's episode, we are going to be spraying these two pieces, but we're going to be comparing two different sprayers. So if you guys have been following my channel for a while, you know that I've been using the Wagner Flexio paint sprayer, but I just got this amazing cordless airless paint sprayer from Graco. So we're going to give this one a try and compare it to my Wagner spray painter. So yeah, let's get flipping. Within the lovely little packaging, they include the paint sprayer, of course, and then they also include a DeWalt battery charger, as well as two DeWalt batteries, which I thought was really cool. And then they come with 4 plastic cups that you can either reuse or dispose of. And last but not least, it comes with some cleaning liquid and some extra parts. Before I got to painting, I wanted to make sure that my battery was fully charged, and then I spent some time getting to know the paint sprayer a little bit with the manual. And let me tell you, this thing is definitely a learning curve coming from a Wagner sprayer. It is a lot more complicated and a lot more professional, but I love that it stands on its own and I love that it is cordless, so that is already a plus. Coming from the Wagner sprayer, the loudness of this machine was definitely a shock and very unexpected, so I highly recommend wearing some ear protection when using this thing, just so you don't get ear fatigue. I noticed that this tends to happen when the machine thinks that it's low on paint, but all you need to do is just make sure that the paint that's on the bottom of the plastic canister is pushed up to the top so the machine can push it out. For some reason, I was having a little bit of trouble in the beginning, and I noticed that the paint was a little bit splotchier than it usually is. However, I do find that Wagner sprayers have a tendency to be a little bit more splotchy, but this also could be because I haven't used this machine in a very long time and it was just sitting there stagnant. So I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt and just say that it needed to warm up a little bit, because after a while, it did spray a little bit better. However, I did have to spray closer than recommended, and I had to turn it up to a full 10 pressure to get an even coat. Now that the first coat was done, it was time to let things dry overnight. Alright guys, so first coat thoughts. On the Wagner nightstand, I noticed that there was just a lot of splotchiness, and the paint didn't come out as like a cohesive thing. It kind of just like splatted out, which up until this point I kind of thought was normal because I had never worked with like an airless paint sprayer before. But as you can see, there's streaks in the coverage, and at first I thought this was just because I didn't have it on the right setting, so I jacked it all the way up to 10, and I still wasn't able to get the coverage that I was with the Graco sprayer. There are barely any spots that need to be painted over. It's a pretty cohesive coat all the way through. There's definitely not the same splotchiness that you would get with the air sprayer. And if you see here, there is a little bit of drippage. However, I'm gonna chalk that up to user error because this was my first time using the Graco sprayer. I wasn't used to how much paint comes out. I wasn't used to a lot of things about it. So I'm gonna chalk that up to user error, and we're gonna sand down both of these pieces, put a second coat on there, and then review the second coat. Alright, so now that that second coat is done, I wanted to pull these outside so that you could see the streaks in the finish here with the Wagner nightstand. Not that paint is supposed to fill in wood grain, but you can clearly see the grain and you can see some of the wood filler that I used to patch up the holes. Versus the Graco nightstand, you can barely see any of the wood grain, let alone any of the repairs that I've made. All in all, I'm honestly pretty shocked that the difference is this stark. I was not expecting that, to be honest. Alrighty folks, so there you have it. 2 coats using the same paint and the same prep, but 2 very different paint sprayers. Overall, I would say that you probably can get the same results with both paint sprayers. However, there is a very clear difference to me. The Wagner paint sprayer is just objectively easier to use and a little bit more beginner friendly, whereas the Graco paint sprayer has a lot of setup, it has a lot of cleanup. The Graco cleanup is actually pretty grueling and you have to do a lot of the same thing over and over again to make sure that you get all of that paint out. That being said, the finish on this is undeniable. The Graco paint sprayer is definitely a learning curve, but I think it's definitely worth trying if you're looking to up your paint sprayer game. Another advantage of the Graco is that it is run by a battery, so you don't have to worry about pulling that cord along with you. With a Wagner, if you're spraying at any sort of angle, up or down, you have to go in and turn the nozzle around and make sure that the nozzle is facing the way that it needs to in order to get the paint. With the Graco, you do not have to do that, which I absolutely love. A couple of downsides with the Graco: it is very heavy, so it is kind of strenuous on the wrist after a little bit. As I said before, the cleanup is a little more complicated than with the Wagner. It's also very loud, so I highly recommend using ear protection when you use it. And it seems to me like it requires a lot of paint to be inside the canister, basically at all times. Otherwise, it skips while you use it, and it just doesn't get like a solid flow. So say for these pieces, I didn't need a lot of paint in there, so I put a very minimal amount, but then when I went to use it, it would just skip and sputter and all that sort of stuff. But even with that, I still was able to get a better finish than with the Wagner sprayer. So, but like I said before, if you're a beginner and you're just looking to speed up your process, the Wagner will do just fine and get you similar results, just with a little bit more time. But if you're a little bit more advanced and you're just looking for a better finish, I highly recommend giving the Graco paint sprayer a try. It is awesome. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until next time, stay flippin'.